This bike is a beast. There is not a hill that's going to give this bike a problem. Wow. So I got it fully assembled. This is the Vanpowers Manidea Fat e-bike. This thing comes with a 750 watt Bafang motor. Now, if you guys have seen some of my other reviews, you'll know that I love that Bafang 750 watt rear hub motor. It does supply a lot of power when you need it, so you can climb some of the steepest hills. Now, one thing that I really like about this Vanpowers bike is that it comes with some name brand tires. These are gonna be the Kenda Juggernauts. They're 4 inches wide and they're 26-inch tires. You're also gonna get a pretty standard suspension on this bike. This is gonna give you about 80 to 90 millimeters of travel, and it does make quite a bit of difference whenever you're going down the road. Most of the time, these suspensions really don't make a difference, but this one, I found it to be actually pretty reasonable. Now, one of the downfalls that I found is that this light is super tiny. It does give you a little bit of visibility, but if you're gonna be doing much night riding, I would recommend picking up something like a Magic Shine light. I really like that brand, and they produce some really nice lights. This one's really good for maybe a short ride or just being visible to other vehicles. Now, this does have a really nice King Meter branded display on it. You can see your miles, your battery, your speed, how many watts you're putting out, and what mode you're in really easily. It's got a really nice set of controls over here that are really simplistic. You've got your power button here, and then your mode up and down right here. Now, also on this control setup here, I did want to show you guys a few features. If you hold up on this button right here, this will eventually turn on the display and then also the front headlight. And then you can just hold it again and then it'll turn it off. Now, this does have a walk feature, but you kind of have to be a little bit careful with it because it will go about 6 miles an hour, which is pretty quick. If you hold down on the down button, it'll kick on the walk mode. As you can see there, it started to take off on me again. I'll do it one more time. Just hold this down and then it'll eventually kick in right there. So that's a really cool feature. Those two things are not in the manual on how to actually do the walk mode and also turn on the light. So those are 2 tips for you. Hold up to turn the light on and hold down to do the walk mode. Now, looking more towards the back of the bike, you're going to get that 8-speed free hub on this Bafang motor, and you're also going to get the Shimano Acera 8-speed rear derailleur. One thing that I really like about all these companies using the Shimano products is that you're going to get really crisp shifting right out of the box. The other big benefit that a lot of people don't talk about are these 7, 8, and 9 speed setups are super easy to dial in for reliable shifting. Now, up front here on the crankset, you are going to get this nice little kind of plastic, not really a bash guard, but a protector to protect your pants from getting caught into the chain ring. And then also you're going to get a nice integrated battery in this down tube. Now, Vanpowers does claim that you should be able to get 30 miles with throttle only and upwards of 60 miles with pedal assist. And of course, just like any e-bike, this does come with a set of keys, and these keys aren't for starting the bike. They are just simply for locking and unlocking the removable battery. And as you can see, the battery removes really easy. Now, one of the big features for me are the batteries that come on this bike. These are officially LG cells, so they are gonna be name brand cells that are inside this battery pack. And I really like that because whenever you get name brand, you're also gonna get certifications like the CE certification on here. It's just gonna give you that reassurance that these batteries and the cells and everything in here have been tested, proven to be nice, good quality, safe batteries. Now, this is a 48 volt system and it is a 14 amp hour battery pack. This is gonna have 672 watt hours. So it's a pretty big battery to fit inside that small little compartment in the down tube. And To reinstall it, it's super simple. You just slide it up in there and then you just push down until you hear the click. Now the charger that comes with this bike is going to be a 2 amp hour charger, so expect between 5 to 7 hours for a full charge on this battery. Now on these fat bikes, I have really come to like these nice plush seats. Typically, I don't like a really padded seat whenever I'm mountain biking or road biking, but on these bikes, you're doing a lot of sitting. You very rarely stand up because you don't have to put in that extra effort going up a hill. So you can pretty much sit the entire time. And having a nice padded seat really does make it that much more comfortable of a ride. Now looking at the cockpit up here, you get a nice wide bar set up here, some really nice dual lock-on grips, so you don't have to worry about these slipping whenever you're going down the road. Also, it comes with an optional bell and throttle. These will have to be put on after you get the bike. Now this also has a Shimano 8-speed shifter up front that matches the Shimano products in the back for the drivetrain. You're gonna have mechanical brake levers, but don't be swayed because of that these aren't hydraulic. They did opt for 203 millimeter rotors on this. So these things stop you just as well, maybe even a little bit better than a 180 millimeter rotor with hydraulic setup. Now, one other thing that I would like to point out is this does come with some Bottle Boss mounts, so you can mount a water bottle cage on there, which is really nice because not every bike that I have reviewed has that option. This one has it built in. Not only that, this thing has a lot of mounting options back here. You can see all of these different Boss style mounts. Now these are designed for the rack and also the fenders, but they put on some extra ones, so if you wanted to mount some additional items, you could do that as well. All right, so now that we know a little bit more about this bike, let's go ahead and take this outside and see exactly how this performs. All right, so now let's take this out for a quick spin. And I do have to say, out of several of the e-bikes that I have tested, this PSA 1 on this bike definitely has a nice power setting. You get plenty of power. It takes you up to about 8 miles an hour, which is a really nice way to start out. And then whenever you crank it up to PSA 2, it really kicks in. Now this will take you right around 12 to 13 miles an hour on PSA 2. Now PSA 3, of course, is really gonna get you going. We're gonna get upwards of 17 miles an hour on PSA 3. All right, let's crank this up to PSA 4. Now I'm just spinning the pedals, not applying any pressure, so the bike is doing all the work. Right at 21.5 on this flat. Really, really impressive. All right, PSA 5, and this thing really has power between each stage. Looking at right at 1,000 watts. And I'm gonna top out at 25.5 before the motor started kicking off. I really, really enjoy these fat tire e-bikes, more so than what I thought I actually would when I first started looking at them. I always feel so stable on these, going really fast, which is something that I really enjoy. I would like to try Vanpowers' little city cruiser that they have that's more like a road bike, but I'm gonna have to see if I can get that one for a test, because I would like to see what it feels like to have a motor on a skinny tire bike versus a fat tire bike. You know, the big 203 millimeter rotors definitely make a big difference in the stopping power on this bike. Now, one thing that I have noticed on this bike is the shifting is really spot on, which doesn't surprise me with Shimano quality products. Now, if you guys are wondering, this helmet is the Xnito helmet. I just did a review on this. This is a really cool helmet that basically has a light on the front, and then it also has a light on the back, and it's kind of got this old school look with the bill. It's really cool, fits really well with this style of bike. I really think that this is my new favorite commuting style helmet. All right, so we're gonna take this up to a 19% grade hill. That's gonna give any bike, e-bike or not, a huge challenge. It's super steep, So we're gonna probably have to put this in PSA 5 and just see how quickly we can cruise up this hill. Man, I love that instant power you get from this. It's so quick to engage. All right, 3, 4, now we're at 5, pushing 1,000 watts out of this motor. Try to shift here. Yeah, can't shift with the camera in my hand. There we go. All right, so now we're in about the middle gears in the back and feeling a little bit of resistance, but man, this thing is cruising. I'm going 18.5 right now, pushing 1,000 watts. This thing is really doing the work for me. All right, a little bit more pedal resistance. This is the steepest part of the hill. We're looking at 19%. I'm barely putting in any pressure climbing this hill manually with a regular bike, and you're really sweating. 12 miles an hour was my lowest speed, and we have crested the top of the hill. This bike is a beast. There is not a hill that's gonna give this bike a problem. Wow, super impressed. I love those Bafang motors. They are just so powerful. All right, so I didn't record going down that hill because I wanted both hands. I'm just using a selfie stick right now. But the braking power on this, again, is just, it's really, really good. They made a really good choice by going with those big rotors on these mechanical disc brakes. But overall, I'm really impressed with this bike so far. This is a great bike if you're wanting to do any type of commuting, traveling around town. You could do light off-road traveling with this. The suspension is actually pretty decent for just a spring assisted suspension. The Kenda tires are great on this. They seem to grip really well. And I like the fact that they're a thicker TPI casing on them, so they're gonna be a lot more tough when it comes to going off-road and running over things. You won't have to worry as much about getting flats with them. The King meter display is really nice. I like how big it is. It's super easy to read, even in bright light. Now, a few things. I really wanted to test the fenders and the rear rack on this, but unfortunately, they're just not in stock, so I'm waiting on those to come in. This one does only top out at 25.5 before that motor kicks off. Now, I do know that this Bafang 750 watt motor has the capability to go much faster, because other bikes with this exact same motor would go 28 to 29 miles an hour with ease. But overall, I would definitely recommend this particular bike to any of my family and friends. Now, I do want to thank Vanpowers for sending this bike to me to review. If you guys are interested in buying one of these Vanpower bikes, go ahead and use the links down below. Those are affiliated links, and they will help out the channel at no additional cost to you. So there you go. That was the Vanpower Manidea e-bike. And I think for $2,000, this bike is a really nicely made bike with lots of optional features. Later on my Instagram, I will show you guys some photos of this bike with fenders and a rear rack once those come in. But overall, what you get for the base price, right around $2,000, I think you're getting a nice quality bike that should last you a very long time. With that said, make sure you guys subscribe and follow along, and we'll see you guys in the next one.